I'm here to talk about a project called Expressions of Change. So first the why. So software will change. Software is either dead or it's changing. And yet the basic building block of software is the text file, which has no concept of history. What about version control systems, you ask? Well, like this fire escape, version control is bolted on. So it's text, but with change tracking on top. And modern buildings have integrated their fire escapes, and I say modern programming languages should have integrated support for modification. So in this approach, we make the modifications to programs the basic building blocks of the programs. So change as a primitive is the slogan there. That is, we reify the modifications in the program. And to do that, we first need to actually think about what is program modification. So the question is, what is a good vocabulary to talk about changing programs? And once we've answered that question, we just record everything in terms of that vocabulary. And then, of course, we reap the benefits, and that might remind you of this approach, but at least I have some ideas on how to actually do it in practice. So in terms of the implementation, we first need to build an editor. So by definition, we can't use an off-the-shelf text editor. Off-the-shelf text editors produce text. That's not what we want. We want structured information about program modification. So I built an editor myself, and the current status is that such an editor exists, and it exists as a prototype. And the second step is to create some programming languages that build on top of this. So the editor is the side that produces the modifications, and the programming languages are the side that consumes it. So that's the profit slide, or the profit part from the earlier slide. So what's actually been achieved so far? Well, here are some authority figures to tell you what you should already know, which is that composition is very, very important. So we take this observation and we ask, how does it apply to this primitive of program modification rather? So what are the means of combination that you can think about in program modification? And is there a meaningful interaction between the structure of the program and the structure of the program's modification? And indeed, there is such a meaningful relationship, but of course it doesn't fit in this 3-minute talk. So you'll have to look it up later. For the second result, I'm assuming that you all know what static analysis is and why that could be useful. So what happens if you combine that idea of static analysis with the idea of reified program modification? And again, the short answer is, if static analysis can tell you where in your program you should look, then this incremental analysis tells you when you should look. And the longer answer could be found here. So I hope that made you somewhat curious. If you have any questions, just find me in the hallways or on the website. Thanks.